Hello, welcome back to Shot by Shot podcast. I guess doing something a little different today. So I have come back from London Film Festival a few days ago. I managed to see 51 films over 2 weeks, which is pretty crazy, but I had the time of my life. So I'm going to be doing some short, kind of quick fire reviews, giving you guys some recommendations on what to look forward to, some of my favorite stuff, what to avoid. I loved so many things. I hated a good amount of things as well. But for my first review, I am going to talk briefly about Lav Diaz's Magellan. Lav Diaz, Filipino director, who I am fairly unfamiliar with. This was the first of his works that I had seen. I had an idea of who he was and his style, kind of very slow cinema, which is very much my thing. So going into this, I had a fair amount of anticipation. This completely blew me away, though. I think the term major gets thrown around a lot. There's sometimes it's loosely tied to a film's sense of timeliness, but I think it often feels redundant and attached for kind of more hyperbolic need than it actually needs. But I think this film embodies that criticality, such positive criticality, to an absolute T. So this film obviously charts the latter portions of Ferdinand Magellan's life. We kind of think we start in Indonesia, we kind of go back to Portugal, we end up in the Philippines. Obviously, Lav, being a Filipino director, I think such a perfect choice to tackle such subject matter. And this film obviously tackles colonialism, the parasitic activity that it is, and death is really seeping from every single frame, despite the fact that much of the violence in this film is vastly implicit. Lav really relies on this idea of the aftermath rather than seeing the action that brought it there, which is very much attuned to this kind of signature observational fly on the wall style of filmmaking, and I think it really hits the nail on the head. And I found it a lot more reflective just to sit with these images of death from a distance, and the vastness of these landscapes, rather than being constantly tuned into this violence. But for me, what struck me the most is despite being set in the 16th century, I think Diaz's evocations of the time are not too dissimilar to now. It's frightening in a sense that this film doesn't even necessarily try to be timely, but its inherentness almost feels like it is a reflection of now. And it really does explore these kind of darker depths of imperialist Christian Catholic identity, and this kind of offering of Jesus in indigenous spaces, which I think kind of really strike as something fairly similar to now. This kind of conservative extremist religion side who think that they're trying to do good but just masking the fact that they're just colonizing everything, and just thinking they want to stop these other religions, but they're hypocrites in the sense that all they can muster up is racial violence. And like I said, he never goes out the way for this film to be timely. But it's so tragic that it feels so natural, from the circumstances that he's depicting here. And one thing that I found really fascinating is I think there's a lot of these films that are about colonialism that really don't characterize the victims, the indigenous people, in their films, and we get the evil of the white man, which is one of the main focuses of this kind of colonialist era. But I think Diaz does a really good job at characterizing the kind of indigenous religions and beliefs, and also pitting it back against us as an audience. Um, and he gives them a sense of humanity and freedom fighting spirit that is in the end used as this kind of cathartic climax where he kind of weaponizes the difference between this kind of the Catholic gospel and the existence of myth and the kind of credulity and foolishness of such evil characters. And yeah, we reach an ending that feels incredibly satisfying, but not without the sense of kind of death and sacrifice that I think he kind of layers throughout this film. And I can't recall a film in such time that had my kind of jaw on the floor in continuous segments. The kind of imagery on display here is so beautiful. His compositions are staggering, always a distance, but I think he really plays with the idea of having such gorgeous images and being so kind of filled with death. And he really picks apart this the antithetical reading of finding such aesthetic wonder amidst such unharmonious imagery. He's really drawing on this counterintuitive of finding meaning in art, and I just found this to be an absolute masterpiece from start to finish. Really, I know that is might be hyperbolic to some, but I genuinely think it is worthy of that praise, and I do need to get around to some more of his works. But this is a phenomenal film, and that is still an understatement. So I would highly recommend it whenever it gets a release, and I really hope it does, because it is a must cinema watch, and there's just no way around that.